You don't agree with gender-neutral loos?
No, not at all. I think they're extremely dangerous, and you only need to look at the data. The data shows this. 90% of sexual assaults in changing rooms, for example, occur in gender-neutral facilities. That's a fact. At schools, where they're
say that again. That sounds like a stat we need to check out.
90% of sexual assaults in changing rooms occur in unisex facilities, because of things like period shaming, because groups of boys would be guessing if a girl was on a period or not based upon how long she'd be in the bathroom. And the idea that this is somehow transphobic or anti-LGBT is completely nonsensical.
OK, that's interesting. So, look, let's park the stats, because we're just producers onto that, just to find out the source of that. Ramal, what do you make of that particular, the second point, though, that girls, and Kemi Badenoch, actually, the Equalities Minister, says this as well, says pupils are avoiding going to the toilet during school hours when they only have access to gender-neutral lavatories. Girls in particular, perhaps boys as well, they don't want to share toilets because they want to be private. Younger children might be overly curious about, you know, the opposite sex. And they might not want, for instance, when they are on their periods, to use a toilet where they're sharing it with boys. Can you understand that concern?
Look, for me, I think those are legitimate concerns. We live in a country where women and girls are experiencing all sorts of very difficult issues pertaining to whether that be physical abuse, verbal abuse, etc. We know there's a whole school of men, generations of men that are mistreating women, so I'm never going to trivialise that issue. But ultimately, this comes down to creating hysteria about issues that, for me, exist but have different solutions. So, for me, you know, is it right that we are in a position where we're talking about toilets being the only place that women feel safe or a place of refuge? To me, we have to look at the root of the issue. The root of the issue is actually generations of men mistreating women.
But they're a source of privacy for women, and people like you want to take them away.
Absolutely, and it's not about taking anything away. Ultimately, this is about really thinking about what the solutions are to those issues. The solutions are twofold. One, that we get men to act differently, and when they're not, they're ostracised from those spaces. And second of all, let me finish. Second of all, the second issue for me is about real change for women, which is empowering women to, in those situations, by, for example, things like Ask Annie or Ask Angela, where staff are trained to actually seek out and see the kind of the signs before these things happen.
That's after the attack has happened.
Yeah, but these are all retrospective, and they're all based upon stopping something occurring before it actually can. And this is why it doesn't make sense.
So you mean that the cubicle, it's fine for the cubicle itself to be used by either men, women,
the issue is
or
just one second. The point is, OK, you've got a cubicle that can only be used by one person. Once you go outside of the toilet, you are then sharing a space with other people, and the vast majority of those people will either be biological males or biological women.
OK.
But then, just to interject, sorry, but just to be really clear, there are plenty of toilets in this country that are not gender neutral, where there is a shared space for washing your hands or waiting. So the issue, therefore, isn't gender neutral toilets. It's about maybe the design of the toilets. But I mean, to be honest with you, I think this is just another issue where we can perhaps, you know, create a kind of this kind of false hysteria around, you know, the issues that are important to trans and non-binary people.
It's not hysteria. Girls being afraid, I'm sorry, because this issue really annoys me. Girls being afraid to go to the toilet because of things like period shaming and sexual harassment.
Let's find real
Women's Voice Wales, Women's Voice Wales, which is a women's activist group, cited a study by Warwick University that demonstrated 4 in 10 girls reported sexual harassment at school.
Okay.
People like you then want to remove those spaces.
We've got the research that you referred to, Dominique. Sunday Times, 2017 to 2018. This is a Freedom of Information request. Changing room sex attacks in council sports centres or swimming pools. 90% were in unisex changing rooms. 10% were in single-sex changing rooms. 134 total complaints. Thank you both.